Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Versatile Data Kit community meeting. I think it's our fifth meeting, actually. And yeah, so the purpose of this meeting is to meet the community, meet our potential contributors, users, and tell something about the Versatile Data Kit. On today's agenda, let me know if you can see the screen.
Yeah, we can see it.
Great. So yeah, today we're actually focusing on templates, and we will start with a little bit of introduction, maybe a little bit of getting to know the team and the people who are behind the Versatile Data Kit. Then I'm gonna give a little intro to the project in general, and then we will have Moncho talk about the templates that we're having in VDK, and Duigo will is one of the latest contributors. She's going to tell us about the csv-export that she implemented, and then we will talk about the latest release, and we have time for discussion, open questions, getting to know, or like answering any questions that might be there. Each time I'm actually publishing a link to the previous community meeting here, like on this page in our repository, wiki, community meeting, and discussions notes. It's gonna appear next to the meeting. So my name is Agita, and I'm actually community manager of this project. And well, my task is kind of organizing these meetings, talking a little bit about VDK publicly, and yeah, kind of making new contributors and maybe users possibly to join the team and feel welcome. Yeah, and anyone else would like to introduce yourselves, because I would like at least you guys to say something.
Right, well, maybe I can introduce myself. Hi, everyone. My name is Moncho, and I'm a software engineer at VMware. And I'm also a VDK maintainer, and I will be talking about templates a little bit later on.
Okay, I can go next. Hi, my name is Gabriel. Also work at VMware, also maintain VDK. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Duigo, and I'm the latest contributor. And today, as Agita said, I will be showing my contribution.
I can go too. I am not really a contributor, more of the guy who creates issues and sometimes complains about VDK. Yeah, I'm also part of the team here at VMware. Officially, I'm a part of the management of this team, but yeah, I'm Daku, by the way. Okay.
Hello, my name is Miroslav Ivanov. I'm a senior software engineer at VMware, also a contributor of the VDK, and mainly focused on the control service component.
I can go next. So hi, everyone. My name is Demira. I'm a user of VDK. So I'm also part of VMware, but me and my team are working with VDK to do data analytics, like end-to-end data analytics on a daily basis.
Tony, are you here?
Yeah, I'm Antoni Ivanov. I'm lead maintainer of Versatile Data Kit, VDK. Yeah, I've been working for our data night for the past 8 years, VDK for the past 3. So now we're hoping that as an open source, we'll be able to provide the same benefits internally and externally. Passing the ball to the next person.
Anyone else? Hi, okay, I think we can continue. By the way, I'm just linking here our LinkedIn profile. So if there is interest to connect with any of us, to ask anything about VDK, it's also an option. So a bit about the versatile data kit. So this is the link to our repository, and I'm gonna paste it in chat here. Yeah, so basically the project is data pipelines, DataOps project, and it enables anybody with basic SQL or Python skills to create their own data pipelines. It consists of two main components, the SDK, that provides automation of working with data workloads, and the control service that allows users to create, deploy, manage, and execute data jobs. And it works on Kubernetes. And yeah, basically, in the data journey, Versatile Data Kit is covering the whole ELT process, so ingestion, transformation, and export. So yeah, kind of it is versatile, so to say, as it, yeah, I think it lives up to its name. Yeah, here is a little bit about the installation. So actually it's pretty much, yeah, just these two commands, and then there is a VDK help, and I just want to show it a bit, so to kind of give some understanding of what are the commands that VDK can run. So kind of to execute running a data job, just like run, flow, execute, download, deploy, delete, create. These are the commands that the SDK can run. So here are some also contact details to follow us. And here in the how to use Versatile Data Kit in our README file, we have a little bit of good introduction videos and a blog post, and actually the full resources are the page is full. All the resources that we have actually at the moment is available also here, which is, yeah. So yeah, the data workloads in Versatile Data Kit are called data jobs, and like a very simple data job would have several steps that are executed in the sequence, and the sequence is defined by the name of the file. So you can see that first, second, third step will be executed in the sequence, and if something fails, it's going to revert and nothing is going to happen. So basically, it can be SQL, as I mentioned, or like a Python step. And this is actually ingestion from REST API. So all these examples are kind of here, very easily accessible. I think kind of easy to try out and to test them by yourself. So yeah, kind of for introduction, that's it. If anyone wants to add something, or I can give a word to Momchil. Yeah, I think like if you want to just, if I missed something, you can just like add it on the way. So I will stop sharing.
Yeah.
And...
Okay. Yeah, just let me know when you can see my screen.
We
can see it.
Okay. Right. So the topic of today's presentation is data job templates in the context of data jobs. I will also be talking a little bit more about data jobs, and then we will hopefully dive into the templates. Here is the agenda for today. So I'm aiming to, give a brief overview on what data jobs are, the VDK pluggability. This is one of our core architectural concepts, and how templates are involved. I'll try to make a few points about the benefits of using templates, and then we'll be running a data job, and we'll be running a template, and I will show you how to create your own template as well. And finally, we'll try to go over existing templates, and then if we have time, we'll probably do a Q&A if there are questions. Anyway, so let's dive. Okay, so yeah, data jobs and the pluggable architecture of VDK. So as Agita mentioned previously, a data job is pretty much a series of SQL or Python files which are executed by the VDK runtime. These files can share, and they do share, the same context, meaning that certain objects or data are shared. Also the connection pools to databases, as well as common logging and error handling. And VDK does this for data engineers out of the box. For more information, of course, you can check out our documentation. I think it's important to note that data job files run in a sequential alphabetical order. And each data job is divided into different steps. So each file is considered a step. So for example, if you have a few Python files and then an SQL file, it would all be a different step. And more importantly, I think the data job is the thing that allows data engineers to implement automated pool ingestion or batch data transformation into a data warehouse or a database. What about the pluggable architecture of VDK then? So when a data job runs, VDK calls internal methods, which are called before the execution of the data job, during the execution, and after the execution. And I wanna quickly show them to you so that you get a little bit more of a context. So for example, in VDK core, we have an initialize job method, a run job method, which in turn calls the run step methods, which are basically all the different files. And finally, we have the finalize job method. And what is good about our pluggable architecture is that you can pretty much override or extend or add to each of these methods your own logic, meaning that VDK is very extensible, and as a more advanced user, you can do pretty much anything and customize it to your liking. Okay, so are there any questions so far? I mean, just feel free to stop me at any time and ask me questions if you feel like you need to clarify something. Okay, so if there's no questions, I could probably move on and talk a little bit more about templates. And template in the context of VDK is simply put reusable code, or more precisely, it is a reusable data job that can be shared and can be called from within a data job itself. So a data job code calls a template, which then returns exits and returns the execution flow to data job code again. And yes, do you want something to add or ask? No, okay. Anyway, templates are designed to hide SQL or Python specifics through more functional ETL or ELT interface. Right. Okay. And what are the benefits of templates? Well, we're aiming to facilitate data job engineers as much as possible and let them focus on more important stuff. We try to promote good code maintainability and reusability. And they can be deployed by a single person or a team and can be used by multiple people. Yeah, it is also important to note that all the context that I talk about is also available when you are executing a template. So all the shared context, data job connections, state store, etc. This is all available also in the templates. Whereas if you implemented your own external library, you would have to implement all those things again. But since VDK already takes care of those, you can take advantage of using templates. Right, so I do have a little graphic here that pretty much shows how a template relates to a data job. And you can see that with the execution flow, it's just starting the data job, and then at some point or another, basically the user defines when the template is called. And remember that the template is really a data job. And when the template finishes, it returns and the data job continues executing. And it also shares, like I mentioned, the same wiring mechanisms, error handling and logging as the core VDK runtime. Everybody can create their own plugin and their own template, and I will talk about plugins very soon when I'll be demoing the creation of a plugin and a template and running a day job. And we, in fact, encourage people to try out our product and do that themselves. Yeah, okay. Let's move on to the demo. If there are any questions, just let me know. So what I'll be doing is I'll be creating a data job, and then I will also be creating a template, and I'll be running the data job and the template. We'll be executing the data job, and we'll be calling again the template. Right, so here, okay. Actually, maybe I could show you the repository. So this is, again, our GitHub. And these are where all the plugins reside. And what I have here on my machine locally is just I've cloned the repository, and this is this folder that you're seeing here. I've also created a demo plugin, which you will not be able to find in the repository since this is just for the presentation. I've created a demo job, and Well, yeah, so this is an empty demo job, which, yeah, for now it does nothing. And by the way, you need to have VDK core installed to have access to the VDK commands. And as Gita showed you, you can use the help command, which is very useful. So I've already set up my environment and I have installed it locally. But let me show you the configuration file of that environment. So this is the plugin, and in order to install it locally, all you need to do is say that you want to install the VDK core and do some wiring, and then you can install it locally by just using pip install in editable mode. And since this is in the same folder, pip will install VDK core, and that's pretty much it. VDK will then pick up the plugin automatically and run any of the pluggable methods that you might have overridden yourself or might have extended. Since I've already run this command, there's no point in me doing it again. But when you're installing it yourself, you have to do this. Okay, so let's just quickly jump over to the demo job step. And again, here in this folder, you could have many different steps like SQL files or Python files, and they will share the same context, the same logging and error handling, and etc. So right now the job is empty, but I just want to print out something. And what better thing to print than hello world? And now if I run the job, which is basically done by typing the VDK run command, and then we need to pass the name of the data job, which in our case is the name of the folder in which the job is located, which is demo job. Okay, so the job finished executing, and you can see our hello world statement. What is good about data jobs is that, actually every Python step needs to implement the run method, which is kind of our interface between VDK core and the data job execution. And you get the job input object, which has a few different methods that users can use. So for example, you can call the execute template method. You can call the get arguments method. The arguments is basically Python dictionary that gets passed to the data job when you're running it. It's done more often than not when you're running it locally. You can send your data for ingestion, or you can execute an SQL query, or you can get the connection, but these are more advanced stuff that we will not be going over today. I just wanted to mention that this is the data job context that I was talking about, and please feel free to check it out in our repository. The documentation is there. So if we want to use a template or call a template from a data job, we just need to call the execute template method, which takes two arguments. First argument is the template name, and the second argument is a Python dictionary of the template arguments, which could be anything. I mean, it's Python dictionary. So yeah, that about covers how to use a data job template. But let's look now at creating one ourselves. Okay, so in order to do this, I also prepared the blank files. But first, I need to show you how to register the plugin itself and register the template. So as you can see here, I've prepared this file, which basically plugs those two methods that are run before the data job. And the first method, it adds the template, which is called demo template, to the context. And the second method adds the plugin itself. And the plugin just adds the template, but you can go back and look at all the methods that you can override at data job runtime. So you could create more complicated plugins yourselves. Right, so what we're doing here is we're just telling VDK where to find the template files. And for our demo, they are located here in the plugin demo / templates. And again, as you can see, currently our template does nothing. So if I go back to the data job, and actually here this should be an underscore, I think, and try to execute the template, I'll try to execute the data job. Well, it pretty much calls the template. Like as you can see, we're entering in template code here, but since the template is empty, it does nothing. So let's go back and change it so that the template is at least useful. Right. And since I have this installed in editable mode, now when I run the demo job, we should see the log statement from the template. So there we go. This is the statement from the data job, which then calls the template, which executes the log statement, and then we exit the template and the data job, since there's no more steps to execute. I guess you can kind of see how this could be very useful, since you can have very complicated logic abstracted away in a template, and you can call it from a data job. I should also mention that a template can call another template. So you can build templates upon templates themselves. And I think this is a really good tool for building good and extensible data pipelines. Okay, right. Okay, so I think I've also covered some of the things that you see here. Create and install your own plugin, register the template with VDK. Maybe we can add a little bit more meaningful logic to our data job and to our template. So let's see, our template is, well, the step is called calculate average. So maybe we can calculate an average number from some arguments that we've passed previously. Right. Okay. Let's see. So if I create a dictionary which codes some objects, and these are meant to be the days of the week. So Monday and the temperatures, 24, Tuesday, 23.5. Oh, should be a string. Okay, and I'm not gonna do the whole week. Right, and then we can pass this object to the execute template method. And then we'll also have to modify our template to calculate the average of these values. Okay. So again, we can get the arguments that have been passed onto the template. Right, my ID freezed for a minute there. Sorry about that. Right, and we can just show or just do this. Let's say let's calculate the average temperature. Just divide it by the length of the values. And just print out whatever we got here. And if we run the template again, we should see the login statement. And in our case, there it is. Right, okay, so I do hope that this presentation clears a little bit the concept of what a template is in the context of the data job and what a data job is. We've also implemented a few templates ourselves. This demand for templates started internally since VDK is used internally in VMware. And all templates that can be found in our repository are actually in use in VMware for various data processing loads. Okay, let's open the template documentation. And as you can see, we have implemented a few templates which were originally data load strategies devised by Ralph Kimball. And I'm just gonna talk a little bit about the slowly changing dimension type 1. This is a strategy that overrides the data in a target table with data defined in the target source. Yeah. So maybe we can check out the code, which is located in our plugins. Oops. Okay, and if you can check out our implementations yourselves. I think there's plenty of documentation, and it's an interesting thing to read. Okay, so if we go over the README file, we can see that template requires the user to pass to have certain prerequisites met in order to execute the template. So you need to have a source schema and a source view that exists, and also target and target schema and target table that exist. And since we'll be moving data between two tables, they need to have the exact schema. Right, and this is the template code, and here the first step, we're doing some argument parsing, and just we're verifying that the user input is correct. The second file is an SQL file, which then tests if the view matches the target SQL. So we're just comparing whatever is provided by the user as table names. The third file will insert into the target table. Then the fourth file will refresh the Impala, since this is a specific template implemented for our Impala plugin. And then we compute the stats. Right. There's also a couple more templates that are implemented internally. So the version strategy and the append strategy, which I encourage everybody you to go over yourselves and check them out. And I think that concludes my presentation, but if we do have any questions, just feel free to ask. You guys there? Have I been talking to myself this whole time, or?
We're here, we can hear you.
Okay.
Like, I actually had a question about plugins. Like, how can you install the plugin, like if you're using the control service? So can I somehow install it so it's everywhere? Like, because you just showed how to have it like locally.
Right, so you need to have your environment set up, and you can install every plugin individually. I think this is somewhere in our documentation. But since most of these plugins you can find in the repository, you can install them by just typing pip install and then the plugin name. So if I wanted to install VDK with CSV plugin, I would just type in pip install VDK CSV. And I also need to have in the same environment VDK core installed. And then hopefully the plugin should work out of the box, since, like I mentioned, VDK finds the plugins automatically. You just need to install it. Does that answer your question, or?
Now when I'm running like a job, I see that there are already some plugins like automatically installed, like when I just install like VDK run. So I'm just like, I mean, VDK in general, like.
Yeah, so I think in our getting started documentation, we have an example of installing the VDK quick start plugin, which is basically a collection of a few plugins. So when you install quick start VDK, it just installs a couple of plugins, including the control service, which is our backend. So yeah, you could also have that. You can have a plugin which just installs a collection of plugins.
Okay, clear. So I have that.
Okay. Anything else?
If there are no other questions, I just want to also mention, I think from my previous experience as like DevOps, I was working with one orchestration tool. It was called Chef. And I think the whole like open source community was working with like kind of publicly available templates. And it was like the biggest value of the community, like community templates. So here maybe we're sharing at the moment the ones that we're using internally, but in general, I think the value of the templates can be also in the scale of the whole community, which is possibly like how it can develop.
Yeah, I think we should also mention that you can create your own private templates that you use internally, but we would strongly encourage everybody to share any templates that they might develop so that those other users can benefit from them too. And yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Manjil. So I guess we can go to Duigo.
Hello again.
Hello.
I will share my screen and let me know if you can see it.
Yeah, we can see it.
Hi. So you can find my first contribution here. The code is here, and now I'm going to do a short demo of what it is exactly. I added a new functionality to CSV plugin, which allows users to export data to CSV files, and you can always check the help page of the command. And yeah, so basically it allows you to save the data from an SQL query against the configured database and export the result to a local CSV. Here are some examples, and here are the options for the commands. So before using the command, you firstly need to do some configurations like choosing the database files and like say that the default database you're using is SQLite. Mine is SQLite, like you can use something else. And yeah, all you need to do is just write the command that you want to use. So here is my command, which gets all the data, which has the value of 22, and like save the result in a file named that data with value 22.csv. Can run it. So here is the execution, and let's see, it is over here. And as you can see, if we get the file, it has only data with value 22. Another example can be just getting everything. And this is optional, so you can omit it. It will save the file defaultly as result.csv in the current directory. So we can run it again. And yeah, here is the file. We can see its first 5 rows. And yeah, you can see that it includes many items. And that's all about my contribution. If you have any questions.
Yeah, so the data set that you're using, SQLite, is it a big data set, or where does the data that you're reading from come from?
Can you repeat it? Like in my computer, it's just a.
Did you populate it yourself for the demo, or is it?
Yeah, I populated it by myself for the demo. I just got it from internet somewhere. I don't know. Yeah. But like, what I actually did was run a data job, an example data job from the wiki. And yeah, and like, you know, the normal data jobs, you get the result in the terminal, and I used the command to get the result also in CSV file. I think it was this one, or yeah, this one, I believe. Yeah. Something else?
Any other questions about VDK in general? So welcome. Any comments? Anything on the topic of the demos that we had today? Okay, thank you, Dobro. I think, yeah, I think we can continue. We have like 9 minutes. So Tony, are you ready?
Yeah, I can share a quick update on what are the recent changes that have been made into VDK. So we made a release, which you can see from the releases. And I want to share this all the recent changes that we made since a month or so ago, since the last release. Yeah. So you can see a full list of all the changes, what's changed below, but some of the major things that we have included. One is improvement in the configuration outliering. VDK you can specify configuration in job config configuration file, or its environment variables, or if there is control service, it's specified during the deployment of the control service. Before that, so for example, if you have configuration variable called db default type, when you're setting it as environment variable, you had to specify a prefix, but when you were setting it in a file, you didn't have to. This was, well, a lot of confusing. So a lot of people were confused when you have to specify prefix, when not. The idea behind using prefix environment variables was to prevent duplications and conflicts with other environment variables. But as this proved to be unwise, we also now support simply specifying the original configuration option name. Like, so those both are equivalent. You can specify VDK default type with the prefix or without the prefix. If both are set, still the prefix one will be high priority, assuming again that you use it to avoid conflict. Another new thing is Vladimir Petkov, who is not here, has extracted some of our sort of lineage model specification for in order to allow for multiple plugins to basically emit lineage events. The purpose for this is, for now, is we have this VDK lineage, plugin, which emits lineage events for any SQL query by parsing it. It works for any database, but it has certain limitations. For example, it considers a view to be a table. So Vladimir Petkov contributing more specific lineage implementation for VDK in Power. So they can be reused to, the more interesting thing about a VDK lineage model is perhaps its lineage logger. So basically you can write a plugin which subscribes to this logger and listens for lineage events. For example, we have such plugin for Open Lineage. And yeah, another new thing is to contribute export CSV command, which you just demonstrated. Fourth new thing is you can, until now, the only way to access properties was if you have a control service installed, our backend. But sometimes for either prototyping or dating purposes, you do not need to connect to external service. So now you can simply specify either in your job configuration file or as a variable properties default type to be memory, and it will use basically memory property service, which means that after the job is finished, of course, nothing is persisted, but that may be useful for testing, prototyping, and demo purposes. And lastly, we have two new examples. One is how you can basically depersonalize or anonymize data. It shows you how you can, it shows a more complex example for how you can create a plugin, which focuses to basically anonymize any data. The plugin is cross-cutting, so anybody, all jobs that have this plugin automatically have some of the data anonymized based on configuration. This is just an example for developing plugin. It's not an currently plugin, but you can check out how you can do it. And the second example that Gabriel did was how to create dependency between different data jobs in Airflow. So you can check out, he also wrote a blog post on this topic. I should link here. You can check it out as well. And yeah, that was a very quick update that I want to do about the recent changes.
Okay, thank you, Tony.
You're most welcome.
So any other like questions or anything, any topics for discussion? We have 4 minutes left. Like quick, something quick can come up now. Okay. If there's nothing, yeah, thank you everyone for joining us. We're still kind of we're expecting that someone is using probably VDK. So if you're using it or like you wish to contribute, don't be afraid to connect with any of us. As I said in the community meeting notes in the repository, I have some contacts and you can connect with us and just let us know how are you using it or how you wish to use it. What is your use case? So thanks everyone for joining today and see you next time.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, bye.
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 Bye.